Good morning. Good morning.
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 Welcome
Good
to
morning.
our next round of mentoring with a Black Pilates instructor. Today, our person will be Tonya Amos, and she is taking a moment to breathe. She's rather nervous, so she'll be here shortly. Welcome you all and let you know this is an event that happens twice a month on the first and third Thursday of every month. And it's been really wonderful so far. We've had lots of wonderful teachers, have lots of different experiences, and we're super excited to have all of you guys join us. This is part of our Diversity in Pilates series, where our Diversity in Pilates program, we're trying to do the best we can to develop more Black Pilates instructors and increase the representation of generally underrepresented folk in Pilates. And that's really been our goal with this program. And it's had a really wonderful time meeting everybody and just seeing the growth of a really nice community around this whole event. If you want more information, there's a Diversity in Pilates website at pilates.com. And that's a nice place to just catch up on everything that's happening here. I'm Nora St. John, the Education Program Director for Balanced Body, and I'm just really happy to have you all here. This has been a really good learning experience for all of us. I've really enjoyed it. All right, it is my great pleasure to introduce my good friend, Tonya Amos. I'm going to spotlight her for a moment here.
Living the dream, declaring it.
Hang on, guys, I'm going to mute you all. Just
Making it our reality.
Go. Okay, except for Tonya, you can unmute yourself just so I can.
I have the power.
You do. You do. All right.
Good morning.
Tonya, and I just want to introduce you briefly, Tonya, and let you go. Tonya, I've known for a long time. She actually found me as an instructor training person. She's looking for a Pilates teacher, and I have known and loved her ever since. She's one of my honestly most talented proteges ever. She has a phenomenal understanding of the body and has been a real mentor to me in terms of understanding many, many, many things. So Tonya, take it away for Elder Power, keeping our seniors strong. I'll be right here in case anybody needs me. I'll be managing the chat. So if anybody has any questions that they would like to put in the chat, I'll answer them or put them to Tonya, and take it away.
Yay. Good morning. I am coming from a lonely land in Northern California, knowing that the liberation of all people is tied to the liberation of Indigenous folks of this country and around the world. Thank you so much for having me. We are going to talk about elder power, keeping our seniors strong. And today we're going to talk about, see if I can get my technology together here. Today, we're going to talk about these amazing human beings that I can't get enough of. Elders have turned out to be my most favorite population, like favorite. So what we're going to do today is we are going to talk a little bit about my background with seniors. We're going to talk about the benefits of exercise, which all of us as Pilates teachers understand intimately, but how it relates to seniors. I'm going to brag about some of the amazing seniors in my life. We're going to talk about some protocols and things to think about when we are working with seniors. Today is going to be a little bit of movement and a lot of talking. And then in 2 weeks from now, we're going to reverse that. And we are going to do just a little bit of talking and a lot of movement. So that's what we're going to do today. And I want to tell you how I started working with seniors. I was actually really terrified when it was time to start working with seniors. So I was a gymnast, a baby gymnast, and turned professional dancer. And when I was 19 years old, I started teaching kids. I was too young to be terrified of teaching kids. When you're young, you don't know what you don't know. So I started teaching gymnastics and I started teaching dance to 18 months through high school. So when you're teaching kids that young, you know, kids know, kids know you have to be fully present. You have to connect with them where they are. You have to break things into bite-sized pieces. And if you throw it all at once, it turns into chaos. And when it turns into chaos with 5-year-olds, it's not a good situation, right? So I worked with kids for many years. And then in 2006, I opened my studio and suddenly I had adults. I was like, wow, adults are so easy. All you have to do is talk to them. You don't have to jump around and make shapes and be really energetic. And at the end of the day, I was like, wow, I'm not so exhausted. So adults started coming to me that just needed to get in shape. And then adults started coming to me that were in massive amounts of pain. And then I started getting the professional dancers and the professional athletes and the Olympic athletes. And it was really fun because you never get bored when you're always having to use your brain. And we all have heard the phrase a million times, teach to the body that's in front of you. And very often, it's easy to not do that. It's easy to get lazy and just say, oh, this is what I do. And this happens to a lot of times with younger instructors. They memorize stuff and this is the way it's done. And I always say that the longer you've been teaching, the more you know about the human body, the more you realize you know absolutely nothing. So I'm teaching all of these diverse bodies. And then someone said, hey, will you go to the senior center where my family is? And I said, sure, no problem. And the night before I panicked. Once again, I panicked. What am I going to do? Oh my goodness, I'm really good with 3-year-olds and I'm really good with 5-year-olds and I'm really good at 8-year-olds and I'm really good with horrible 7th graders and I'm really good with high school people, right? You start to understand those developmental levels. What am I going to do with seniors? So I panicked. And then I thought about what is it that they need? Right? Just like everybody else you teach the body in front of you. And guess what? Break stuff down in pieces, right? So I showed up and people were like, wow, that's amazing. Where can we get certified in this? And I was like, I kind of just like made it up out of here. And they, no, we're this program that you just taught. Where did it? So I realized I was kind of on to something. So I've been teaching seniors for a long time and I love teaching with seniors. So we know that exercise is really important. We know that exercise is body. It makes your body better and it makes your mind better. And I dare say it makes your spirit better. So benefits of exercise, improved immune system, right? We know if you're sedentary, your immune system struggles a little bit more than if you are keeping it moving. Super important for seniors because many seniors are super sedentary. Digestive functioning, right? We know when we move our body, we get better circulation, better elimination. Seniors, many of them sit all day, right? So now maybe they're constipated. We know a lot of them are kyphotic, which doesn't help with digestion either. And now they're on medications for constipation, blood pressure, and blood sugar regulation. We know exercise can have a major impact in those areas. Those are both areas that seniors tend to have problems with. Cognition. I've watched a brain injury up close and personal for the last several years. And it's amazing when you bring exercise into the equation, the brain absolutely acts differently. And we all have that adage in our head, like I have to go out and clear my head. I have to take a walk and clear my head. That is actually a real thing that has been studied. Heart function and heart disease, right? As we get older, that heart muscle maybe isn't doing as much as we would like it to do. Exercise can improve that. Medication regulation, right? We've gone to seniors' houses and the medication is no longer in their medicine cabinet. It's spread on half of their dining room table. And many of those medications pile on top of each other. So they're on one medication for high blood pressure and it causes a certain set of symptoms. And then they have another medication for that set of symptoms. And then they have another set of medication for that set of symptoms, right? So medication between them and their doctor, absolutely. But we have all seen when you add exercise, if they're on 15 types of medication, maybe they come off 3 of them. Maybe that brain fog was actually from medication, right? Maybe that dizziness was because of a medication. So adding exercise for anybody is important, and especially when people are more vulnerable in that place that they need to take a lot of medication. Bone density and osteoporosis, right? We know it can affect anybody, but the older you get, the more likelihood you have a bone density issue. We know that weight-bearing exercise can have a huge impact on bone density, or at least quality of life that will potentially prevent a fracture. Energy, mood, depression, sense of well-being or sense of doom, sense of control. These are all the things that we get more and more into our head and not in our body. You drop yourself back into your body and you're like, oh, maybe that's not so bad, right? Right now under COVID, the loneliness factor is huge for seniors, right? Sometimes we are the only person that they see for the entire week. I have people that pretty honored to be put in this category. We're working by Zoom, and they say, I have 1 hour Bible study and I have 1 hour Pilates. And that is literally the only time that they're having interaction with people. So working with seniors has changed my life. Seniors are often underestimated, right? We have this thing about, oh, look at the little old lady, they're so cute. Look at the old man, he's so cute. And there's a condescension that we don't even realize that we're putting on that relationship. And it's something that they deal with all day, every day. They are not very often taken, at least in our culture, seriously, because people around them are in a hurry. People around them are like, can you just get to it and say what you're saying? Oh my God, you're about to tell the same story again. They're in there. Their bodies may move slower, and their mouth may move slower. It may take them longer to communicate what they're saying, but very often they're 200% in there. They are with it. Their body just won't keep up with their mind anymore. How many of us were like when we were 10 and we thought 20 was really old? Then we got to 20, we're like, oh my God, I'm that age. 30 is really old. Oh my God, I'm that age. 50, right? You talk to seniors and they say, I look in the mirror and I see a little old person and I don't know what had happened. When did that happen? The world perceives them a certain way. And in their head, they're the same person. Their body is slower. Their mouth is slower. And then I put to you, even if they're not 200% in there, maybe they're 50% in there, maybe they're 10% in there, maybe they're 5% in there sometimes, and the rest of the time you're like, whoa, they're in a different place. Don't they still deserve to be treated with dignity and respect and kindness and patience and the utmost attention? So I'll tell you, I didn't have these skills when my last grandma was here. And she had a stroke and she was frustrated because most of the world gave up on her. Medical establishment gave up on her. People around her gave up on her because she's old. She's a little old lady. She had a stroke. Of course this happens to you. And I found, and I didn't have these skills. And this is like a source of regret for me. But I found just even a little bit of gentle massage, a little myofascial outside my scope, right? Not physical therapist, not massage therapist, know where your scope is. But she, my grandma, my husband, my mom, my dad, my grandma, all bets are off. And she wore this stiff brace on her leg in order for her leg to not collapse underneath her. And it was frustrating and she felt out of control. And we figured out if we took off the brace and I just rubbed her leg, just that little myofascial release, that little bit of circulation, that little bit of heat, that little bit of human touch, it helped her pain so much, and it helped her fatigue, and it helped her frustration. It gave her a sense of control. And so when she was having a bad day, she would take off that brace and just rub her leg. This is something no doctor told her. Take off your brace and touch your body. So, that source of regret is like, I didn't have these building skills, these strengthening skills, but I could help somebody else's mama and I could help somebody else's grandparents. So what I found really quickly is people say to me all the time, oh my God, you're doing so much for me. You're doing so much for my mother. Or you're doing so much for my father. What I figured out that what I was giving to them, I cry here, is not half of what they're giving to me. These folks have changed my life with their inspiration, right? So anybody who talks to me more than 10 minutes knows that I'm very serious about where I sit in my lineage, right? I am standing on my ancestors' shoulders, and that ancestral, hopefully, knowledge, spirit, power is passed through me to the next generations. Well, our elders are our living ancestors. They're right here with us. And the incredible life experience and their knowledge, I am humbled in the great things that these folks have done. Maybe little tiny things that history will never talk about. And they might be giant things where they just blew open doors for us, but their stories humble me. And I learned so much about the world, and I feel blessed to contribute to them in just a little bit of the way they have contributed to society. So I'm going to play with my tech, and I want to share a few of these amazing people with you. Amazing people. And the great honor it is to be trusted by a family when they say, hey, take care of my grandma. Take care of my grandma. All right. So this is an amazing family. We have Shannon, who's a dancer. She came to me and we cleaned up her body mechanics and we worked on her extensions and her turns and all that good stuff. And then we have Loretta. This is mommy. And we did general conditioning with her. And here is Lena. Lena is 101 years old. She came to me when she was 93. She was in pain. She was slow. She was tired. She used to shuffle her feet on the ground because their anterior tibialis goes to sleep as they get older. It just stops working and they can't lift their toes up anymore. So you hear people coming half a room away. So poor Lena, I would walk behind her and I was like, when she'd turn around, I'd be like, do. And then I'm creeping behind her. I was like 6 inches behind her. And I was like, usually I run down the hall and I take a break between clients. I was like, Lena was in my studio and I would stalk her. So she came in, she was in pain. She had a little bit of neck pain. She had shoulder pain. She had lower back pain. She had hip pain and she had knee pain. People were like, she's old. That's what happens. Well, give me 6 months with Lena. And we broke down those faulty body mechanics and we rebuilt them. And she was so glad to be out of the house. It was an adventure for her that at 94, she said, Tonya, I want to start boxing. Really, Lena? Really? And I was like, I'm thinking, that's a really bad idea. Like a really bad idea. But if you can't start boxing at 94, when are you going to start boxing? So she starts boxing. She's got a good few years in her where she's feeling really good. Then I closed my brick and mortar to go back into the community full time. And she moves into a home away from home for elders. Okay, she's doing pretty well. She's not leaving very much. She's with the same people, but she's doing pretty well. And then I go on vacation. And I have this thing. I'm like, I just can't go on vacation. People are like, yeah, it's a codependent thing. I'm like, I know, but when I go on vacation, my seniors slide. So I go on vacation and I come back and Lena's in hospice. So she's 100 at the time. She's in hospice. And her daughter calls me and says, hey, I need to tell you that if you're going to say goodbye to mom, you should go do it. So I show up and she's in bed. She looks really bad. Her eyes are closed. And I walk in and I say, Lena, it's Tonya. And she opened her eyes and she said, oh, are we going to do Pilates? I was like, okay. So I went and talked to the medical director and I called her daughter and I needed to know what are the contraindications for a 100-year-old lady who's in hospice. And they basically said, she's going to be gone in a couple days. So just, bring her some joy. I'm like, I can do that. So she's laying in bed in her nightgown and she's got this sheet over her and she's got an aid next to her. And I'm like, let's just do some breathing. So we did some belly breaths and then we did some chest breaths and her eyes started to brighten up. And I said, okay, what if we just start moving your hands? Her eyes got a little brighter. What if we just start moving your arms? What if we, under the covers, start circling your ankles? Eyes got a little brighter. What if we did a couple marches? And she looked better then we came in because exercise does that. She's 100. She's in a hospice. So I give her a big hug. I'm never going to see her again. I know she's not going to be here. And about 2 hours later, I get a phone call from her daughter. And she said, what the hell did you do to my mom? I was like, oh no, I killed one of my favorite people in the world. Oh my God. I'm sorry. What's going on with your mom? She said, an hour after you left, she asked for food and demanded to be gotten out of bed. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, y'all just made that up, right? Okay. And they're like, they say it's a miracle. They don't know what's going on. And she's like, wants to get out of bed. She's not out of bed yet, but now she's asking for it. So I said, okay, I'm going to get over there as much as I can. So I go back 2 days later. Her eyes are brighter. She's in bed. She's not strong enough to get out of bed. I'm going to show you this. It was Monday I worked with her. This is Wednesday. Oh, this is her when we started working on her boxing skills. And then I'm going to show you Lena.
Knees up. Okay, keep them up and hold it 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 and rest. Jeez! Paciencia! Nice work!
Yep.
Knees up.
And so she always yells, paciencia. She speaks Italian when she's like ready to kick my butt. So I'm going to play that one more time just for effect because I can't even, I was like, really?
Okay, keep them up and hold it 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 and rest. Jeez! Paciencia! Nice work!
Right. So she's yelling jeez at me. Right. So, I mean, she's in an incline. Right. And we started with just marching and then we started with a one-leg tabletop. I was like, really? We had a little magic circle between her knees at one point. And I was like, well, okay, she's just automatically getting her leg up. So I went back on Friday. She was even stronger. On Monday, I showed up and she's sitting in a chair. On Wednesday, we're moving her back to what was more of her normal program. And we're still, she was in hospice last week. And then it says after 2 weeks, she's walking with a walker, right? She's 100 years old. Make sure she doesn't fall.
Knees up.
Sorry.
Okay.
Let's see if I can figure. There she is. She is like, we're walking and I do this da 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 da. I add rhythm to walking and we're walking into the hall and she says, oh, there's something wrong with my shoe. Hello, strength, flexibility, and balance. How many of our 30-year-old clients would that be problematic for? So that's Lena. That's Lena. She's 101 years old. Elaine Muscle Jones is 93. Elaine was the first African-American to play for the New York Symphony and the first African-American to play for the New York City Ballet. And when I met her, she started just reveling me with stories of Arthur Mitchell from Dancer of Harlem and George Balanchine. And we connected because she knew I had a grown women dance collective, a concert, a dance company of dancers in our 40s and 50s, and she came into our project. She just wrote a book called Little Lady with a Big Drum about her life as a Black musician in the classical world. She's got stuff written about her in the annals of the musicians league in New York City. Like, she is a legend. And when you audition for a symphony now, you do it behind a screen so people can hear you and not see you to mitigate bias. It was her lawsuit with the San Francisco Symphony that caused that worldwide practice to happen. And here's something cool. She was Pavarotti's tennis partner. So again, these little old ladies, these little old people, they're underestimated. They had a full life. The things they can teach us is mind-blowing. And we reduce them very often to, oh, the cute little lady, the cute little man, they talk too much. Oh my God, I can't call her. She's going to talk my ear off. The things that they can share with us. Richard, this is Donald, my husband. Donald doesn't usually get excited about just hanging out with random people. Richard found his way into our heart. He came to the studio as a client. His daughter is a Pilates teacher and said, my dad needs help. He had late stage Parkinson's and severe stenosis. He is no longer with us. We lost him last year. Say he is dancing with the ancestors now. And Richard started the American Film Institute. Google it. It's insane. That was his baby. So when Denzel Washington makes his toast and decides to sponsor Chadwick Boseman to study in London, yeah, American Film Institute. He was a cultural attaché to the US in Berlin. He was a columnist for the LA Times, writing about the environment before it was cool. And the coolest thing is, as a filmmaker, he used his skills to fight the Nazis, right? So through all of these crazy, crazy times in the last few years, not only were his stories fascinating, but he had this perspective on what was happening and what was going to happen next. And I'd like to say he talked me off the ledge a few times. He did not. He's like, I've seen this before and it's really scary, but I was fascinated and humbled by this man's stories. And he came in and we just worked. And this is somebody who was in his head his whole life, and we dropped him back into his body. And I'll tell you, I was blessed to work with him all the way through hospice. We did a little bit of movement with him. We did a little breathing with him. I would sit at his bedside, and in his late stage, it was hard for him to communicate, right? But he was intent on getting his stories out and wishes for me to have a good life. He gave me incredible business advice. He told me, call Julie Dash and talk to her about your documentary. He was an amazing man. And just that little bit of me being able to give back to him was incredible. Just absolutely incredible. So that's Richard, Lena, and Elaine. And so these people, they changed me. So they were grateful, their families were grateful because I helped them. But each one of these elders that I worked with reminded me what I'm doing on this planet, and reminded me that the skill set that we have can absolutely make an impact. And we might not know the impact, but it absolutely changes lives. So this is what happens when you actually engage the body, the mind, and the spirit that's in front of us and where they actually are. So a couple of years ago, I closed my brick and mortar to go back into the community full time. My nonprofit uses arts and wellness for social justice. And a main component of what we do is make sure that arts and wellness classes get into communities that very often don't have access, right, to create impact, again, in the way that we have the skill set. So I love bringing this work to seniors. And something to remember with especially elder women, they were growing up in a time that many of them did not play a sport, right? If they were privileged, they got to stay home with the kids and they may not be in their bodies at all. if they had to work, a lot of them were maybe domestics, and they did lots of bent over hard labor for a long time, right? So there's a whole learning process as far as dropping people back into their body. There are real changes in seniors' bodies, right? There are shifts as we get older. 5-year-old body is not the same as a 10-year-old body or 20-year-old body or 40-year-old body or 60-year-old body or 80-year-old body or 100-year-old body. But some of these changes are self-fulfilling, right? Our structure does change, but our US sedentary lifestyle creates an unnecessary fast decline. So we sit in chairs from the time we're young, 5-year-olds squirm, and we say, sit still. And they go, and they squirm some more. And we say, sit still. And sooner or later, they stop squirming and they turn into what I call vulture posture, right? So we sit in chairs all day long from the time we're a kid. We sit in a car. We sit in the drive-through to get our French fries. We sit as we're pressing a remote control to come into our garage, right? There's less of this if you're on public transportation, right? But you're still sitting a lot. Now we sit at home and we watch Star Trek on the couch. Yay, Star Trek. What we think is part of the natural aging process is for people to get very, very weak and very unsteady on their feet. So although there's physiological changes, this downward spiral in strength, and this downward spiral in flexibility, and this downward spiral in balance is actually self-fulfilling. Seniors are afraid of falling down. And the more sedentary they become, the higher their fall risk is. Seniors are in pain. If I hold still, my pain will not be as bad. We know as Pilates teachers, that's not the case, right? Some seniors say, well, I walk. Great. Walking is really good. It's great for your brain, fresh air, sunlight on your body. But studies show that walking is not enough to keep seniors from falling, because you have to create a higher load, a higher set of movement skills in the body. So if they trip, i.e. when we're tripping, for 15, we go, and we catch ourselves. And when we trip and we're 25, we go, and we catch ourselves. When a senior trips, they have potentially lost so much strength and flexibility, strength, and balance, i.e. the reaction time is slower. When they trip, they don't catch themselves, they do a timber, and then they fall. In many cultures, seniors are allowed and invited and even revered to participate in important community activities at an advanced age. So their strength and their flexibility and balance works in a way that folks in sedentary cultures do not. Now, anybody knows me knows I can go all the way down a rabbit hole with this. But working my tech here, working my tech. So now, and in cultures, including the United States, some seniors unfortunately have to do too much, right? Some cultures, including the United States, if they don't work, they don't eat, right? That's a whole nother level of problematic. Nobody should have to work 2 jobs and sleep in a car to be able to keep a roof over their head. Nobody should have to do extraordinary things just to eat. But there is a move it or lose it. And with seniors continuing to build, that happens at a different rate in non-sedentary cultures. Okay, so things that we want to know when we're training seniors. So we want to enhance their strength. This is all our clients, right? We want to enhance their flexibility And guess what? Their balance is really important. The emphasis is building the strength, flexibility, and balance to keep them upright and away from gravity. Falling, the CDC tells us, is not part of the natural aging process. It does not have to be inevitable. People fall when they have lost the physical resources to catch themselves. So some pretty horrible statistics here. Every year, more than 30% of the US population 65 and older fall. Falls are the leading cause of death in this age group. Less than half people tell their doctor when they fall down. I think it's lower because based on the seniors I work with, they're like, ooh, I don't want anybody to know because my kid might da-da-da-da-da. Once you fall down at this advanced age, falling, your risk fall doubles. So if you fall, you're twice as likely to fall again within the next year. And this is again because they've lost the resources to catch themselves. So our goal is to keep them on their feet. We want them away from the ground. So 10 little things. That's a lot. But I promise next week we're going to move. I'm just going to talk a lot today. So 10 things when we're dealing with seniors. Bone density, osteoporosis, our silent thief. Many seniors have no idea they have it. So I'm extra paranoid. If you're over 50, I'm going to do some different protocols with you until I know otherwise. But especially an elder, you should just assume they have a bone density issue. So in the United States, over 50, 1 out of 2 women and 1 out of 4 men will have an osteoporotic fracture during their lifetime. Internationally, it's 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men. Probably a little less sedentary once you add most of the world in. Almost 1 in 3 folks die within a year of a hip fracture. Yeah, we can't let them break a hip. Those that don't die often lose their independence. So it becomes a downward slide because of lack of mobility. Other things can happen, right? Secondary infection, things like that. But if you're not using your lungs, if your heart is not pumping because you can't get around, you are more likely to have problems. You may have problems feeding yourself. You may have problems staying hydrated. You may have problems clothing yourself or bathing yourself or getting around, i.e. you have less exercise. So this is such a large percentage of our senior population that we have to take it really seriously. Just assume they have it, right? Better safe than sorry. Because young people, we're playing on the swing set, we do our big giant pumps and we flip off and we land on our head and we go, ow! And we get up and we run away and we get back on the swing set. When a senior gets hurt, it takes a long time for them to heal. So I say, not on my watch. And I want to retrain their body so it doesn't happen on their watch. Bone density, clients don't know. People come into the studio and I haven't worked with them yet, but they say I broke a rib when I sneezed, or I broke my spine when I coughed. I had a client that a dog, beautiful little dog, just clipped her from the back. She was really strong because I'd been working with her, and she lunged forward and she didn't even hit anything. She just almost like a push-up, an incline push-up. She caught herself and she broke ribs in her spine, right? So some seniors don't even know they had it. She knew. So the basic protocols, no loaded flexion. They're kyphotic anyway. Why do you want to do sit-ups with them? Why do you want to do hundreds? They're already built like this. Don't do it. And then I say very cautious, lifted. Don't even mess with anything else if you can't get them neutral, right? But the protocols, depending on who you talk to, very, very careful, lifted, minimal rotation and minimal lateral flexion. You don't want those ribs sitting on top of each other. Most people are flexed when they rotate, right? Most people are flexed when they laterally bend if they're already living in kyphosis. So just be aware and take an osteoporosis class, and the protocols are pretty simple. And you can still, I call it Tonya torture, you can still torture your seniors and everybody else that has a potential bone density issue. And then hips, wrists, all of that good stuff. The beauty of studies show us that bone mass and muscle mass can be increased way out into senior years. I just saw a question. Yes, yes, yes. Neutral and extension, neutral and extension, neutral and extension. Absolutely. Move it or lose it. Seniors build, 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 build. All right, I want to show you a picture for inspiration. An inspirational picture. So this woman, they call her the six-pack granny. Miss Ernestine Shepard, she's 84. This was not a professional athlete. This is someone that started working out in her mid-50s. My seniors don't look like this. That's fine. It's about function. But look what the human body can do, right? You use it, you build. You don't lose it, it falls apart. Miss Ernestine Shepard, six-pack granny. So the second thing with seniors is, remember, many of them have been sedentary, and a lot of them have joint degeneration. So start small, right? This may be the first time they're moving their body in years. Get them out of pain. Pain will make them sedentary. And I'm sorry, seniors are tired. Seniors have a lifetime of stuff that they're dealing with physically and emotionally. And if you put them in pain, they're not coming back. They're like, I can do bad all by my damn self. So if their back hurts and you get frisky with them and they go home and their back is killing them, they're probably not coming back. If their knees are killing them and you get frisky with them and you hurt their knees, they're probably not coming back. And more power to them, right? They're already in pain. Now, we do know there's an adjustment period, and sometimes you have a new client and it takes a few classes to kind of figure out what's going on with them. But again, break stuff down, find those functional movement patterns and train them well. Be patient, right? They've been sedentary a long time. Number 3, clutter-free setup. We all know this as teachers. We know we're not supposed to have stuff on the floor. My COVID house is cuckoo. I got manuals, I got spiky balls, I got all kinds of stuff, all kinds of things I would never, ever put up with if I was in my studio, but there's nobody in here. Tripping hazards are a real thing. So when you're working with seniors, you cannot be lazy. You got to get that ball right. When you're done, put it back. Get that stick. If they're working on their own, they can put it on the dresser next to them. They can put it behind them, but get them out of the habit of not having things on the floor that will be on the floor and they'll forget, and they'll get up later and they will step on it. Throw rugs is a major, major trip hazard. Again, they shuffle their feet, they shuffle, right? The dorsiflexors don't work well, so they will catch their toes and go down. It's a major reason why seniors get hurt in their house. Cords on the floor, get them a cordless phone. If they won't, reroute that cord. If you cannot get their damn throw rug out of them, because a lot of times they won't give them up until they've fallen and the doctor told them to, you can massage the situation and tape it down. You want it so if they catch their toe on it as they're shuffling, they can't actually catch their toe on it. So cords, carpets, and this is the same reason why people trip trying to get up on the curb. They can't lift the front of their foot up. 4, bright lights. We don't want the, ooh, Pilates mood lighting. Pilates in the dark. Bikram Pilates. Yeah. Someone said leashes, walking dogs. Yep, get the stuff off the ground. Anything they can trip on. Seniors' eyes adjust slower than younger people. This is one of the reasons why people fall when they go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. 1, their proprioceptors aren't necessarily working, and 2, they can't see. So I have seen statistics where it can take up to an hour for a senior's eyes to adjust from dark to light. So if you've got beautiful mood lighting in your studio and then they walk into the closet and they put on their shoes, maybe they're okay. They walk down the hall, maybe they're okay. They get into the elevator and they trip. 5, watch transitions. folks fall during transitions. So walking to sitting down to laying, i.e. trap table, right? Laying to sitting to standing to walking. People are so used to getting out of a chair and starting to walk, their brain is not slower, but their body is slower, right? Up and then walk, up and then walk. So practice the transitions with them, teach them to be mindful with their transitions, drill that in, and then when they're not thinking about it, there's less likelihood of them falling on a transition. 7, keep their mind sharp. Sharp, 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 sharp. We need their body and their brain to work. So use their body and mind to learn new, good, healthy body mechanics, good functional patterns, get them clean, do them in all different alignments so they can open up that jar, so they can reach up without hurting their shoulder. Strengthen, strengthen, strengthen what you're intending to strengthen, and then change up the patterns. Make them memorize, make them think, make them plan. So I say artists to the rescue. This is a great time for choreography. We're going to do some of that next week, right? So it might be something simple, like if you're doing hamstring slices on the trap table, maybe it's slice, work those body mechanics in the strength. 2, 3, clap, clap. Then they got to switch legs. 1, 2, 3, clap, clap. Maybe it's holding a tabletop and spelling their name backwards, right? So there's ways that you can incorporate very tricky but fun and fulfilling brain work into whatever you're doing. 6, proprioception. Get their joints moving. Get the bottom of their feet moving, right? Little things like rolling a spiky ball. I like the big red spiky balls. I don't like the little ones, which I use for most people in the bottom of their feet because their bones are small. They're thin. So I might have them put a spiky ball next to their bed in a square Tupperware, because if it's round, they can knock it off in the middle of the night. They don't even know they knocked it off and they step on it in the morning. So maybe before they get out of bed, they take it, they put it on the floor, they roll their foot, they roll their other foot, they put it back, and they go about their day. Get the bottom of their feet woken up. Also, their feet get really tight and really weak. So as you're increasing the strength in the rest of the body and the flexibility in the rest of the body, work on their feet, because that proprioception is really, really important. Many of them are kyphotic. Their head is way forward. The vulture posture I talked about. Their head is heavy. It's like a bowling ball. So get them upright as soon as possible. So I don't mean put them in a chair and work with them, right? Yeah, do that too. If you are in a studio environment, you have the ability to have them lay down as they're building their spinal extension. If you're working in the community, you don't have that. So you have to find ways to break those kyphotic patterns in a chair, which you absolutely can do. And you'll see with the people in the photo, I had a lot of those people on wedges, right? Because then you can actually line stuff up and let them work without being in some strange alignment. Talk to them about the big old heavy head, right? I actually make fun of the big old heavy head, that if they stand up and their head is forward, they will fall forward. So I want everybody just to stand up really quickly, or just find your place in a chair. I don't have much room here, but we'll make it work. So we're going to have you stand up. If you are a fall risk, please don't do this. So I want you to stand up and go ahead and go into this kyphotic posture. And I want you to stand up, not moving the alignment of your head. So stand up, keeping your head forward. And I want you to notice there's a crazy balance challenge. Do that twice more and notice that you're not steady there. Your head is forward of your body. Okay, so now sit up straight, as straight as you can. You might still be in this kyphotic posture, but I want you to stand up and I want you to put your head on the ceiling. So go ahead and stand up and put your head straight up. Do that two more times. Head on the ceiling. And you notice that big old heavy head is not going to pull you forward anymore. All right. So we're young enough and strong enough and in our body that that's maybe not a big deal. But for a senior who has already lost some strength, flexibility, and balance, that little bit of alignment is the difference between them falling down or staying upright. So I will, the functional patterns, I will drill those in. Stand up, put your head on the ceiling. Stand up, head on the ceiling. Stand up, head on the ceiling. And then, your clients say, oh, I was thinking about you when I was in the shower. Okay, a little creepy, right? But you get your voice, you're in their head, and it becomes their little voice. So drill where they are in space. Number 9, loneliness is potentially huge, especially right now under COVID. People say, oh, that person talks so much. You may be the only interaction or the only happy interaction that person has had all week or all month. So when we think about it, we're, I think, a little bit more conscious about this under COVID, how isolated we are. But usually if we don't have a health challenge, we walk out of the house, right? We check our mail. Maybe there's a neighbor. Maybe we wave at them or maybe not. We get in our car, right? We go to the grocery store, whether we want to deal with anybody or not. People are saying, hey, how you doing? Right? We are out and about all the time if we're able to do that. And there's interactions that happen all day long. With seniors, if they are in the house all day long, there is nobody to talk to. So then you show up and they're like, I have to talk to you. And I have to tell you the story the 27th time because I forgot I told it to you 26 times, right? That's part of it. We hold space for our clients. You can torture them at the same time. You can put a ball between their knees while they're telling you a story. You can roll the foot on a ball while they're telling a story. You can use a stick so they do myofascial work. You can have them do abduction against a thero loop while they're telling you that story the 27th time. That body, mind, and spirit, you can't separate them. So having a healthy relationship where somebody can actually talk to somebody, I say is as important as getting their quads and their glutes and their abdominals to kick in. So, and take seriously that interaction, that you can actually be the eyes and ears for potential problems, right? If they're suddenly moving strange, I've walked into situations and a senior's ribs were really laterally slid that day. And I was like, what is going on? That's not her alignment. Like, I know this person and her ribs are over. And I can't figure out what's going on. And then later on in the conversation, she mentions casually that she fell. Well, she's in a senior center. Do these people know? Nobody told her family. Because guess what? If they tell, then they have to take her to the emergency room. So me seeing that her ribs were in the wrong place and her having a relationship, and she just starts unconsciously talking. And she's like, oh, by the way, well, you can have that conversation with a family member, right? So we've got this subtle situation where we usually keep our stuff confidential with our clients, right? We don't tell other clients or family members. But, once somebody, this is my opinion, once somebody can no longer advocate for themselves, you're their advocate. You can't be like, well, she's an adult. No, she won't even remember this conversation later. Do they have a rash? Do they have a strange bruise on the back of their leg? That rash could be a reaction to a new medication. And nobody noticed because nobody is that close. If you're doing plies and releves with someone and you're looking at their gastroc and they have this strange bruise, I'm going to tell somebody, because guess what? That turned out to be a blood infection that nobody caught because nobody is down there looking at the senior's leg. They're coming in, they're helping them go to the bathroom, and they're putting them back in bed. And it's not because they're bad people. They're busy. They're working with a whole lot of people. I'm talking about people that are living in facilities. Cognition. Suddenly, the person is talking all loopy. Did this person have some sort of stroke, some kind of TBI going on? Their lips are chapped. Are they spaced out? When's the last time you drank water? Water? Get this woman a jug of water. Guess what? Third glass of water that she's gulping down, her eyes clear up. So you have the opportunity to advocate, to stay in touch with their family, because especially if they're living in a facility, It might be an amazing facility, but they are alone and vulnerable. Walking down memory lane, that's important. They go on to talk about their lives, be there, body, mind, and spirit for them. Last thing, integrate short exercises into their daily life. Now, here's the reality. They won't remember their homework. Come on, how many of our clients actually do their homework? But you try to integrate it when you can. Hey, every time you do this, do this. Every time you do this, right? So I try. I'm going to put their exercises on the wall where they can see them. If they can see them, they might not remember, but their granddaughter that walks in or has a Zoom with them says, hey, Grandma, have you done those exercises? I only give exercises that they can do effectively that are safe for their body. The riskier stuff, I put in risky because anybody who knows me, I'm not risky, but the riskier stuff, I'm not having them do that as homework. If I can't stand right there and spot their pelvis, they're not doing that exercise. But little short exercises throughout the day. People say they stand up and the first 15 seconds, they can't feel their legs, right? That's when they're going to fall. So I may have them do this with me in their chair. I will have them, this is my foot. I'll have them circle their ankles. I'll have them circle the ankles the other direction. And then I'll have them pump their legs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then have them stand up and put their head on the ceiling. Get your joints going, get your muscles going, roll your ankles, roll them the other direction, pump your legs. And it's up to them. Maybe they want to do one leg, maybe they want to two, just depends how strong they are, and then have them stand up. So you just integrated an exercise that gets their proprioception, their flexibility, and their strength to kick in before they stand up. And they can do that every time they get up during the day. It puts them at less risk and they get little exercise. You can have them do release work while they're watching. People hate commercials. Grab your stick, roll your stick on your legs during commercials. And I want to talk to you really quickly about calf cramps and what I do for people first thing in the morning. So how many people have a client that are like, I'm not doing anything and I just lay in bed and my calves cramp, right? I'm not doing anything but laying there. When you're laying in bed, and this is for all ages, but it gets worse as we get older, at least from what I've seen. When you're laying in bed and the blankets are on top of you, you're in dorsiflexion. Did I say dorsiflexion? I'm sorry, plantar flexion, which means your gastroc is working really hard. So if your gastroc is working really hard for 8 hours, you are working. You're standing on releve all night. So what I do is I have people build a tent. So you're in bed. I want you to take a bunch of pillows and you pile them up. Then throw your blanket over the pillows and you got a tent. Now the blanket is no longer pushing you into plantar flexion. Okay, so I'm going to teach you something I teach my seniors to get out of bed. This can be a little tricky depending on their mobility and their flexibility, but you can do this in your chair. I'm going to do it with my hands just so I don't have to get my feet in front of the camera. So you're laying in bed, you're on your back, and I want you're going to wake up the proprioceptors on the bottom of your foot. I want you to scratch the bottom of your foot like you have an itch with your other toes. Yeah, do this in your chair, guys. So scratch the bottom of your foot. Y'all gonna make me do it, huh? I'm gonna scratch my foot. I'm gonna scratch my other foot. I'm gonna circle my ankles, and then I'm gonna pump my legs, and then I'm gonna stand up. So you got the proprioceptors in the bottom of the feet going. You got the joints and the muscles around the ankles going. You got the joints and the knees and a little bit of hips going. And then you stand up. So do this with me 2 times in your chair. Do it with me. I'm going to show you my feet again. Here we go. Scratch the bottom of your foot. Scratch the other foot. Roll your ankles. Roll your ankles. Pump your legs, right? And then they're going to get out of bed. One more. Scratch your foot. Scratch your other foot. Roll your ankles. Roll your ankles. Leg pumps. And now they can stand up. So all of those joints that are asleep, the muscles that are asleep from laying in bed, you have woken them up. So when they jump out of the bed, they're more likely to know where they are in space. The muscles are able to support them, and they're less likely to fall. All right, so next week, what we're gonna do, we're gonna do a whole lot of movement. I'm gonna teach you a chair program where you don't need crazy equipment. All right, Nora, I'm gonna stop talking. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you being here.
That was awesome.
Thank you, Tonya.
Thank you,
You're
Tonya.
welcome.
So relevant, especially with the clients that we
Thank
have
you.
right now. So helpful. Thank you.
So practical. I mean, and I think what I see the most always whenever I work with Tonya is the attention. You know, you watch everybody, you watch that closely, and you figure out what to do. You know, look at the person in front of you, and the information comes through. It was amazing, really inspiring.
Thank you.
Nice.
You're
So I will be
welcome.
sending out a recording for all of you, or a link to the recording will be coming out. Usually takes a week or so for us to get all that together. And again, we'll hope to see you in 2 weeks for a whole movement session. And Tonya has given me a couple of previews of that. So I'm really excited to be there because I want to see my seniors doing a chair workout to some happy Motown hits or hip hop hits. I'm not sure what music she'll be choosing. And anyway, Tonya, thank you so much. That was really, really, really wonderful.
Thank you, Nora.
Thank you.
Love you all. Be well, everyone.
Yes,
Take it
you
easy.
too.
Be safe, be well.
I love you, Tonya.
I love you, Teresa.
I'll talk to you later.
See you Saturday.
Bye. Nora, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Folks are still here.
Yeah, I thought I'd stay on for just a moment. I'm just removing some of the people that
Yep.
so that we're not with everybody. I'm assuming they just have their phones still on or whatever. Go. Last one. Whoa,
I
girl.
survived.
Oh my God, you more than survived. You thrived on that one.